Welcome to TCB for EAP. I'm your host, Jessi Mallory, and today we have a really fun show. On the roster for today's show, we have a new addition to Pringle's projects, 2 fan highlights, one from the Netherlands and one from Bangor, Maine. We have an incredible fan story from Shelvis in New Jersey. She was lucky enough to see Elvis in concert in 1975. Elvis news, picture of the show, and the Elvis tribute artist spotlight. Lida has a dollhouse to rival all other dollhouses. Lida's been an Elvis fan for 40 years, and her talents and creativity have given her some much-deserved recognition. Lida is painstakingly creating a Graceland dollhouse. Just look at the details. She's taken great care to copy every detail possible. I'll let the pictures speak for themselves. Lida told me that her Graceland dollhouse is still under construction. She's been working on it for 2 years. She also told me that Elvis's music has helped her get through some times of emotional turmoil and struggles. Team Elvis has launched a GoFundMe page for Lida to raise money for her to actually have a trip to Graceland she's never been. They say she deserves it. If you're interested in helping her get to the promised land, please click the GoFundMe link in the video description below. There you will also find a link to her Facebook page, and then you can check out a bunch more pictures, and you can even contact her too.
project like you've never seen before. It's Pringle's Projects.
On our second installment of Pringle's Projects, Mark has chosen to share with us his replication of Elvis's 1956 square dance shirt. You may recognize this shirt from pictures taken of Elvis while at his Audubon Drive home. Mark drew the entire pattern by hand with permanent magic markers. I asked Mark why he chose to recreate this shirt in particular. He said he's always loved this shirt for some reason. He had tried to find it online with no luck, so he decided if he could make a leather guitar cover, he could draw a shirt. Mark gathered 5 pretty good photos of the shirt, a magnifying glass, some markers, and he got to work on it. After 4 days of hand-cramping, eye-crossing work, he completed it. Did Mark stop there with the shirt? Of course he didn't. Mark had his wife take some photos of him on a bed, just like in the original photos, and he even tried to get the same type of red phone, red stuffed dog, and bed cover. Mark told me, since there aren't any photos of the complete back of this shirt, he decided to draw Elvis, Scotty, Bill, and DJ for the back centerpiece as a tribute, which I think is a really great idea. Mark also mentioned that he's worn this shirt to Memphis a few times over the years, and that he was one of the lucky ones to be able to tour the outside and the inside of the Audubon Drive home. There's no denying Mark has an amazing eye for detail, and that sets him apart. You can see another one of Pringle's projects on next week's show. Thanks again, Mark. You know how to TCB. This fan mail comes from Lori, also known as Shelvis, in Brick Township, New Jersey. Lori writes, Dear Jessi, when I was 8 years old, my mom said that if I got an A in spelling, she would take me to see Elvis Presley. My mother dressed me up really nice and told me a little white lie one day. She said she was taking me to a museum. Well, when I got out of the car, I saw all of these ladies wearing high hairdos and bell-bottom pants with skirts over them. Really cool. As we walked up to the building, I saw a woman with an Elvis book. I said to my mother, Mommy, that lady has an Elvis book. And my mother replied, I think that's the guy who's playing here today. I started to cry. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. Elvis was appearing that day at the Nassau Coliseum in New York in July 1975. As the 2001 A Space Odyssey began playing, the house was dark and the spotlights were flashing all over the place. We were sitting in the second row in the back. I couldn't believe how close we were. As I walked down towards the railing, my dad was with me and a security officer was looking at us. We were leaning over and Elvis saw me and said, Hey, bring her up here, man. He put a blue scarf around my neck. He was the most beautiful man I had ever seen. It was the greatest moment of my life. And the rest is history. I'm thankful for getting the chance to see him in concert. It changed my life forever. Thank you, Shelvis, for that story. That's incredible. And we were happy to find the actual footage of him performing at the show that you attended. Our second fan highlight this week is about Nick. Nick comes from Bangor, Maine. As I mentioned previously, I'm an Elvis tribute artist. During one of my Christmas shows, I saw a fella sitting by himself at a table. As is customary for my shows, I like to talk to the audience before, during, and after the shows. I chatted with Nick. Nick was wearing an Elvis shirt, and he told me that he was a huge Elvis fan. At the end of the night, he offered to help me load out, and he wanted to help in any way he could. He came to the next show, and he helped out. I got to know Nick a bit more, and we started to become friends. Pretty soon, he was running my sound and helping me run the show. We talked a lot about Elvis, and he told me that he had been on the front page of our local paper when he was a kid because of his large Elvis collection. At the time of the newspaper article, the OJ trial was huge, so to make front page in place of the trial was a pretty big deal. I told Nick recently that I'd like to add his story to the show, so he dug out the newspaper that he'd saved so that I could see it. The day he did that, he didn't know, but some of his friends, myself included, were going to surprise Nick with a trip to Memphis this year for Elvis Week. He said, "I think it says here somewhere that I wanted to go to Graceland." To that I said, well, maybe one day we'll all get to go. And boy, I'll tell you, it was hard keeping that secret from him. It was that night that we all went to the casino and we surprised Nick with his trip. He couldn't believe it. He never thought he'd be able to go to Graceland. He was a little shaky, he teared up, and he was covered in goosebumps. Nick credits his mother for getting him started on Elvis. He said that he spotted a blue cassette tape when he was out shopping with his mother and asked his mother, "Who was this?" She told him that it was Elvis Presley, and Nick asked her, "Is he good?" She said, "Yes, he's very good." The first song Nick ever heard Elvis sing was A Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. Nick is by far one of the biggest Elvis fans that I've ever met, and he, above anybody else that I know, deserves to go to Graceland the most. He is such a super fan, he's a great guy, so we're going to track his story all the way down from Memphis. We're going to go from Maine to Memphis for Elvis Week this year. And we're going to do some live updates, and we're going to take pictures, and we're going to keep you posted on Nick's awesome journey to Graceland. Our next Elvis tribute artist spotlight is Dustin Bricker. I met Dustin for the first time in Toronto, Canada at an Elvis competition. Dustin is one of the nicest fellows you'd ever want to meet, and he has such a big, booming voice. That's why I thought he deserved to be in the spotlight. Dustin has been an Elvis fan his whole life. After singing in a school competition, Dustin decided he wanted to become an Elvis tribute artist. When I asked Dustin what the funniest thing to ever happen to him at a performance was, he said, "I think the funniest thing that happened was when I was doing a show and they called Dustin Brickle to the stage." It sounded like pickle. Dustin says he's never been to Graceland, but he plans to one of these days. You're a young fella, Dustin. You have plenty of time to make it there. What's Dustin's favorite song to sing? He says it's a fight between Trouble and American Trilogy. What does Elvis's music mean to Dustin? He says that the music speaks to him. He just can't help but dance and sing along. Elvis is his all-time favorite singer. I ask every Elvis tribute artist this question. What bothers you the most about the ETA world? Dustin says, there are things about the tribute world that bother me, but the big one is that there are only like 20 songs everyone uses for competitions for every era, even though there are over 700 songs. What awards has Dustin won? 3rd place in Collingwood, 4th place in Tweed, and many first place awards in smaller competitions. Finally, I asked Dustin, if you had to sing one Elvis song for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? He replied, American Trilogy, but with a live band because the song has so much power. And if you watch Elvis perform the song, he gets so into it, just like I do, and I can just feel the song in my chest. I can't explain it. You can find Dustin Bricker on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks, Dustin. Keep rocking out. That's this week's show. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button below and click on the little bell icon so that you'll be notified when another video is uploaded. On the next show, we'll have part 2 with Kay Wheeler. You won't want to miss that. And give this video a like, and please feel free to share it to your Facebook or other social media. We love Elvis, and this show is for him and for the fans. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for another installment of TCB for EAP.